Welcome to another episode of Casual Cinephilia, where enthusiastic amateurs talk very passionately about movies. I'm Ian.
I'm Lorian, and today we're talking about Frozen 2.
All right. With our double header, movie number 2, we've kicked
Wow.
Jacob out and he's downstairs watching football.
So if you hear football,
That's why.
that's why.
So before we jump into it, spoilers for Frozen 2 and Frozen 1,
Yep.
if we get into that.
And maybe like whatever else we want to reference.
Pretty much, yeah.
Though I don't have anything to mind.
But just
in case, we've warned you.
Spoilers all around. And with that, let's get into Frozen 2. I enjoyed it. I think it's not going to be the phenom that the first one was. Mm-hmm. But it was enjoyable. I find it weird that the Frozen series so far has technically been going without a villain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess Hans in the first one
Sure.
was a villain. But there was no villain. I guess the grandfather.
Yeah, the villain, yes.
But there was no clash. Though it was, it was trying to fix the sins of the past.
Sure.
Sins of the father, essentially,
Right.
but the sins of the grandfather.
Yes.
But I just find it strange that the Frozen series, it has no villains.
Well, these movies have been essentially in progress since before Snow White. So almost a century now, Disney's been trying to do this series. Well, this movie.
Right.
They didn't know it would be a series until the first one made them so much money.
Right. It's still making them so much money.
But they were basing it off of the Hans Christian Andersen, The Snow Queen, in which the Snow Queen is the villain.
Right.
So when they made that switch to Elsa not being a villain, I mean, I don't mind the stories. I think they do a pretty good job of writing compelling arcs without having an actual conflict somehow.
Yeah.
But it is strange, and I'm sure it's just because they turned their villain into one of their main heroes and decided not to. I mean, what can you do? You can't make a bigger, badder Snow Queen in that story.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
now,
the
especially with the
enemy,
new film.
you could say that in both of these films, the villain is fear as a concept.
I guess so, yeah. Yeah, I could get that. I could get behind that. It's such an interesting plot choice.
Yeah, it is. It's a weird writing decision. It's not what you would you don't go to the whiteboard and go, all right, let's erase this whole villain and conflict part of the story.
Right. But, I mean, they're successful at it. I mean,
they are.
Both the films are entertaining. Like, this movie is entertaining. I enjoyed it. Like, when I say it's not going to be the phenom that, Frozen 1 was, it's still, I think, number one right now, and the biggest Disney...
Yeah, it's already made, like, 48 million or something, and we're not even quite out of opening weekend yet.
Yeah, I know for sure it's the biggest Disney release of 2019. And it, I mean, who knows where it's going to go from here.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was good. I just feel like there was some special ingredient of the first Frozen
that it was lacking.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
So the first act and the third act, I felt were very enjoyable. They were fast-paced, they were exciting, and the second act, I felt like it meandered.
Sure. Yeah, I get that.
I don't know. It's hard to find the thing that...
Yes, I agree. It wasn't... Well, okay. Let's back up for me a minute. That show that I opened and closed between our last episode and now was Frozen Junior. So I've been forcibly residenced in Arendelle for the last 3 months of my life. So when the music started, when the that started, I was like, "Oh God, it's too soon." No. And here's the funny thing: in any sane group, where you had just done Frozen Jr., which, like, I'm gonna say something that might be a secret to some people.
Oh, snap.
We didn't choose to do Frozen because we really thought it would be the most fun thing for the team to do. We chose to do Frozen because it was just released for licensing, and we knew it would bring in a lot of people. So we already weren't necessarily, all of us, psyched.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had to live there for 2 months. And then this movie came out right after. So in that scenario, you'd think that I'd be done with Arendelle now, as of the recording of this episode.
Right.
Except for that our vocal director put 2 songs from Frozen into our holiday show, so I now have to go and intricately look and learn a 5-part harmony for Pentatonics' Let It Go, and dance about Hyuga, which is fine. Anyway, all of this to say that when this movie started, I was already put a little on guard.
Right.
Just by hearing the music again, I was like, no, no. But I did enjoy it more than I thought I would, I guess.
Yeah.
The first Frozen I didn't go out to the theater and see until a friend of mine made me. And it had already been out for so long that they had the sing-along version in theaters already by the time I saw the first one, which we did not go to, and my friend still sang along. He denies it. It was true. It happened. I was there. So, where was I going with that?
I don't know.
I have no idea what's happening. This is what Arendelle does to your brain.
It's a dark,
I'm thawing.
evil place. But I do want to.
Remember.
Oh, you remembered. Okay.
I didn't love Frozen when I first saw it.
Really?
The music I didn't just love it from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a few listens to like the music. I do like the music in Frozen. It's well written. Mm-hmm. The lyrics are good. Like, it's a sound musical.
Right.
And I saw this second one and I felt the same way. The songs all sort of like, they were fine. So I forced myself to listen to it a few times over the last few days, and it's the same thing. I think it's well written. I dove down a little bit of a rabbit hole with the Dies Irae and how it's incorporated into the unknown, and that's why it's so unsettling. The is the Dies Irae in a different key. But even with all of that deep diving, it's like, this movie was good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, full stop. It was good.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's my review as well. If you have a little kid who loved the first Frozen, they're probably going to love this one.
If you had a little kid who loved the first Frozen, you have a teenager now. It's been 6 years.
Has it been 6 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Dang. Now I feel old.
Yeah. I know. Because of the aforementioned deep diving, I kept reading comments on Frozen videos where people are like, I was 8 years old when the first one came out, and now I am in junior high and I still like it. Ha ha. I'm like, holy shit, I was like 24 when the first one came out. Oh, man. I did like Olaf this go round still. I really enjoyed his song about how this will all make sense when I'm older.
I did enjoy Olaf this movie. I was expecting not to like him.
Sure.
Because I did enjoy him in the first one.
Right.
But I feel like
that character could have an expiration date.
Yeah, like a one-trick pony kind of thing. But I enjoyed that he was like starting to understand the bizarre of the world.
Maturing.
Yeah. Just there's a throwaway line in the opening when they're doing the charades, and he just goes, "Oh, this is so much easier now that I know how to read."
Yeah,
like, it's just a very throwaway, but it's like, oh, he's learning how to. He's learning how to read.
He's learning.
Yeah,
he's actually being treated as a growing child, and the fact that he had growth between the stories, I think, is what saved him.
I agree. Though, so with Olaf, I felt I felt his, again, spoiler, I guess we did do the spoiler alerts already.
Yeah.
His death was very heavy-handed.
Yes, I agree. That felt a little undeserved.
Yeah. Where, like, I really like Olaf, but, like, I was honestly expecting him to be like, Anna, I don't feel
Yeah,
so
I don't
good.
feel so good, right.
Like, it was a full-on dusting of
Yeah.
Spider-Man level event.
Thought that it would have been so much better. I don't even mind the song that came after it. It's, the next right thing or whatever.
Mm.
That's good. It makes sense for the character there. But I thought that it could have been done where Elsa's whatever shows up. Olaf, like, literally is just a pile when Anna turns around, and then cued a song. It would have been so much snappier and better.
Yeah.
You understand she's sad about Olaf and her sister. You don't
Right.
need a 2-minute scene where Olaf talks about how he's actively dying.
Right.
But I did really enjoy his character for all of the parts but that one. I really
Right.
had a fun time with this is called controlling what you can when things feel out of control moment he had there. With the decorating him with the little weird ice things.
Yeah, I enjoyed his character a lot. I was worried when I was at the mall
Sure.
a while back, a couple days ago, and there was one of those like animated posters in one of the waiting areas.
Uh-huh.
And I was sitting there and I was looking at this thing, and there was this lizard.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Oh, no.
no.
Yeah.
Like, well, here's another ploy for,
They way over advertised the other elements.
They had such little to do with the story.
They were just there for the audience to start to glean that maybe Elsa was the other one.
Yeah.
Like, literally, that's all they did.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if that one's fire, and that one's wind, and that one's what? And
Hang
there's
on
a fifth one,
Yeah.
maybe.
So I saw that coming from a million miles away.
Yes, for sure.
But I was really hoping for the twist that Anna was going to be the fifth element.
The
of
fifth
love.
element.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is the fifth element. How have I not seen it before? Frozen 2 is just the plot of the fifth element. The fifth element is love. It's literally this.
Luke the song. You are so ahead of your time.
I'm dying.
But seriously, I thought they were going to pull the Anna is going to be the fifth element.
Sure.
But no, it was ice. Apparently, ice
Well,
is not just a variation of water.
It wasn't ice. It was the person.
Yeah, it was love.
And I guess technically you could say that they both were, because they were the two
Sides of
halves of the magic, non-magic nature thing.
Right. But still.
I can't say how relieved I am that the parents stayed dead.
Yeah.
I was like, they saw the ship and I was like, no, don't have them climb out of the wreckage right now. I will be so upset. Just because, like, what is that moment if they take it right back in the next film?
Right. Yeah.
You know? So I'm glad that stuck. It sounds terrible,
Though
maybe,
I
but
feel bad for all the Disney theorists out there. There goes the Tarzan theory.
yeah, and the
They went
Ariel's
north, not
wreckage theory.
Ariel's might still...
So that was like down there for her, and then it floated up onto the land.
Global warming, you never know. I don't know.
Sure, that's what. Yep, Disney theorists just compensate for global warming.
Disney's views on climate change.
It's real, as evidenced by.
So Arendelle is now completely underwater because the polar ice caps have melted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Ariel finds it.
Yeah.
Duh. I mean,
Obviously.
Obvious.
It doesn't matter that they're set within like 70 years